Yeah, so growing up with Red Dot, I've watched recognition evolve from something that designers hope for to something they expect. From validation to influence, from celebration to obligation. Today, every designer has a platform, every project gets shared instantly, and everyone's fighting for the same attention. So the question isn't whether awards still matter, it's whether they are measuring the right things. Are we recognizing design that looks good or design that does good? Because in a world drowning in content, recognition should elevate what actually matters. I think the most basic point that I try to connect to is we have 4 qualities of design defined by Red Dot. We have quality of functionality, quality of use, and then we have responsibility. But one of the most important by them is the quality of seduction that a product has. Because this is what really, as a consumer, makes you want a product. I think the important part with the Red Dot is that the Red Dot had value 20 years ago and still carries the same value. And this is because we try to avoid trends, I would say, and we always try to focus on ourselves. But the point is, quality never changes. Quality is an experience. If you experience a quality moment with a product or a project, this experience will always stay the same, no matter if it was 50 years ago or will be in 100 years. This is what makes us great.
Coming up on Design Mindset, Jova Zec, Vice President of Red Dot Awards, on how design recognition must evolve from validating individual achievements to amplifying collective impact, and why the future belongs to awards that don't just celebrate great design, but create it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Design Mindset. I'm Radhika Seth. Today's episode is brought to you by KeyShot, the 3D rendering and visualization software that helps designers create award-worthy presentations of their concepts. Please head over to keyshot.com/mindset for your free trial today. And here we are exploring a question that affects every designer's career, but rarely gets examined critically. What does recognition actually mean in the year 2025, 2026? When every designer has Instagram, Behance, and LinkedIn to showcase their work, when design competitions multiply every year, and when viral can happen overnight, how do we distinguish between meaningful recognition and digital noise? My guest today has a unique perspective on this evolution. Jova Zec is Vice President of Red Dot Awards, one of the world's most prestigious design competitions, founded by his father, Professor Dr. Peter Zec. Over the 3 decades that it's been around, Jova has watched design recognition transform from insider validation to global influence. And he's now helping shape that awards, what they should mean and measure in our interconnected, impact-conscious world. From live streaming award ceremonies to leading guided tours that share personal insights into winning designs, Jova represents a new generation of design leadership that understands recognition as a responsibility and not just as a reward. Jova, welcome to Design Mindset. I'm excited to explore how recognition can evolve from celebrating individual success to amplifying collective impact. Welcome, Jova. So here we begin. You've grown up watching Red Dot evolve alongside digital culture. How has the meaning of design recognition changed when everyone has a global platform?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. I would say it's a pretty interesting time right now because, as you mentioned before, I remember pretty well that when I was quite small, the only way to being recognized was like through either the TV or maybe being mentioned in the newspaper. So especially for designers, it was very tough to have their own platform. But now, as you mentioned before, also is nowadays you can create your Instagram profile. You can have many different options to communicate through social media. So now a little bit the question has changed for us because before it was always very important for people to take part in the Red Dot, first of all, for having recognition and maybe starting their career or supporting their career. But nowadays, I would say the focus more lies on being qualified by us as somebody who really produces or is able to design something that really carries value, and not just to make yourself more popular, but also to help yourself to prove that the things that you are doing carry value.
Wow. So when you're evaluating thousands of submissions now, how do you distinguish between designs that are Instagram worthy and designs that are impact worthy?
So basically, we do this because we stick to our own principles that we had since the first time we did this award until today. Because what I believe is there's a big difference between just creating, I would call it digital noise, and creating something that is truly meaningful. Because if you want to do something or create something that really has an impact, you should create something that is really timeless. And for this, we have different evaluation criteria that are also enforced by our judges. And the good thing is with our judges, the judges tend to be very objective, or they are objective, because the good point is they themselves are design experts. So on Instagram, what can happen is if you show your products to a wide range, if you just implement a very cool gimmick that is more like, I would say, like a short-term effect that really amazes people, this is not then in this moment something that should be very impactful. And our judges are always on the lookout to evaluate products on different criteria and different bases. And also with this award, we have the possibility to let products shine that would normally not be recognized on Instagram that much because they are not so cool. But nevertheless, they still get a lot of amazing design thought put into them. Like, for example, what I like to call out is always like washing machines. If you're not really into washing machines, they all look pretty much the same to you. But if you really look into the details, there's a lot of things that are happening, and those are things that need to be shown and also celebrated if they are done well.
Correct. And this, connects so beautifully to something that KeyShot enables, when designers are preparing for submissions for major awards, the quality of visualization often determines whether judges can see the true potential of a concept or not. And KeyShot Studio allows designers to present their ideas the same professional polish as established studios, democratizing access to award winning and award level presentation qualities. So you've been involved in expanding Red Dot globally. How do cultural differences actually affect what's recognition means to designers in different markets? What have you seen?
So I would say all over the world, it's like pretty different. It depends on the markets and also on the cultural background. Like I would say in societies or in groups that have been known for being pretty strong in design, it's more about like proving yourself in an already established design world. And for those people, it's very important to show their works and to show that they are still leading for their region and that they can prove to sometimes, I would maybe say, oversaturated market of designers that they stick out and they can provide quality. But looking to the more emerging design markets, which are also globally right now pretty interesting, for them it's very important to, first of all, get recognition, because I think we have a lot of regions and a lot of design icons that are very well recognized. But in the award, we can see then whenever new countries pop up, and sometimes we don't get that many submissions from them because the design scene is not that big in those countries already.
Correct.
For them, it's very important to get recognition and to show that although they are small, they can still reach the same level of quality or sometimes even higher quality than all of the established countries and societies for design.
Lovely. Because, I often see that there's this tension between design that looks exceptional and design that creates exceptional impact. So, how are awards like Red Dot evolving with their evaluation criteria?
So for us, as I mentioned before, we try to stick always to our basic principles. But what we try to do is we sometimes try to highlight different aspects that we think are quite important. Because, of course, with our design award, we can also have an impact on our own with the things that we try to elevate. And for this, we have like implemented the meta categories quite a while ago to push something when in some parts it could be lacking, or in other words, if it is quite strong in some parts. So for this, we have the innovative category. So this was made up for products. That's what you can see right now is, especially with AI, what is happening, that a lot of people design something that is technologically pretty advanced, but maybe lacks in some points. But the idea itself is just so good that it would be impossible for us to not elevate this and not give the feedback to the person that you're on the right path, continue what you're doing right now. And for this, we have the innovative prize. But also now, with the big topic of being more environmentally friendly, being more cautious about our lifestyle and more thoughtful with the things we do, we have now implemented a category for sustainable design. This is new, or was new for last year. We will continue this. And this is also shown in kind of a way that we want to express that sometimes if a product may be lacking or is already good, we can elevate with this, hey, focus on this point because you can win recognition here. And we can show other people that you have done something pretty well with your product. And this is the way we adapt. And no matter what the future will hold for us, we will always try to adapt the meta categories in a direction where we think they push the design market into the right direction.
Yeah. So interestingly, you bring up sustainability. If you ask me personally, in my head, is that sustainability or sustainable options or the green options is something that should be predominant or inherent in for any designer, because as a solution, they have to think about the environment and they have to think about these things. So it's a good thing that y'all are pushing this as well. And so that's my personal opinion. But when it comes to you, when you're your personal favorites, when you're giving guided tours for winning designs, what do you yourself, see highlighting? Is it the aesthetic achievement or is the problem solving innovation? What is it that you try to, bring out when you're talking about designs to the people that you're giving a tour to?
When I do a tour, normally, I think the most basic point that I try to connect to is we have 4 qualities of design defined by Red Dot. And one of the most important by them is the quality of seduction that a product has. Because I think this is something that is the most interesting towards many people, because we have also quality of functionality, and then we have the quality of use, and then we have responsibility. And I think those are already some points that are sometimes pretty self-explanatory, because of course the product should be functional. Of course, the product should be responsible. But the number one thing that is, I think, pretty interesting is the quality of seduction, because this is what really, as a consumer, makes you want a product or want to buy it. And I think if I give guided tours, it's most important to explain this and also to incorporate this with different qualities, because also when it now comes to environmental friendly design or sustainable design, if you start to use those buzzwords, I think a lot of people are still a little bit thrown off by this, because I think sometimes being environmentally friendly is not very seductive. But if you can combine both of those facts, then this is something that I will always highlight, because creating something that you truly want because you fell in love with the product or the project itself, and at the same moment doing something good for the environment and everybody else, is something that truly needs to be highlighted.
Lovely, lovely. So now let's talk about the psychology of recognition. How does the pursuit of award shape, how designers think? What do they prioritize? How do they define success according to you?
So I would say recognition is something truly important also nowadays, because I would say recognition is maybe not anymore that much about creating an audience, but maybe also about finding the right audience for yourself. Also, what I think then one of the most important things that we can do in our award is give feedback to a designer. Because when you work on a project and you try to come up with a good idea, sometimes it's very important to also get feedback, as we provide with our judges, from other professionals that have not been involved in your project, that are not from your company, and maybe that you have never seen them before and don't know them. But if they, without knowing you, provide you the information, you did right here, you did something really, really good, And this deserves more recognition. I think this is not just a career starter or sometimes a career boost that you will get, but also for your own self-esteem. This can truly help you. And this can also sometimes help you to find a way. Because what I notice if I talk to some designers, I always get asked the question, where can I improve? What can I do better? And which direction should I go? And my answer to this is always the most important part is that you first of all start doing the things that you like doing. And the important part is if you start doing this and then come up with something great, exactly then is the moment where you don't just want, but I would say need recognition to stay on that path, to affirm to yourself that I did something right here and I should continue with this.
So when you see, you've seen designers at award ceremonies and otherwise, from emerging talents to established legends, you've seen them all. So how does recognition affect different stages of creative careers differently? What has your observation been?
It's actually a pretty interesting question, because what I think is the importance to the person itself always stays the same. If I talk to like all the high professionals or even some design legends, for them it's still important to get a red dot, because for them it's more or less about making sure for themselves that they are still on the level that they think they are. And for them, it's more or less like proving to themselves that they can still perform. They are in the right position. They are still in the mindset of the current generation. And for the young emerging talents or the young designers that try to establish themselves, for them, it's also important to show themselves that they know what to do. But for them, it's sometimes even more important that they can use this as a Kickstarter for their career. And I can tell you, I heard so many wonderful stories of people that told me that sometimes they took part in Red Dot as students, won something, and then after they were finished with university, they immediately got employed by a pretty huge company that wanted them as their design talent because they had this award. Yeah. So Red Dot can be something that starts your career, and maybe, if I get to say so, at the end of the career, still affirms to you that you kept your quality since your first years.
Interesting. So looking ahead, how do you think design awards would evolve to stay relevant and meaningful in this world that keeps on changing every second?
I think the most important part for us is maybe to not go so much with the noise and stick to ourselves, because this is what makes us great. I think the important part with the Red Dot is that the Red Dot had value 20 years ago and still carries the same value. And this is because we try to avoid trends, I would say, and we always try to focus on ourselves. So more or less the criteria that made you great 20 years ago is more or less, as I mentioned before, still the same, with, of course, some adaptations. But the point is, quality never changes. Quality is an experience. If you experience a quality moment with a product or a project, this experience will always stay the same, no matter if it was 50 years ago or will be in 100 years. And we try always to stick true to this principle, that we try to show people how important quality is. And I think if we stick to this, we can still remain relevant in the future. Because as I mentioned before, design awards will not be relevant in the future because we can create attention for you. This is, of course, a nice side effect that we will still do. You'll always get some attention if you get up on stage. There are a lot of people. There are people filming you. But the setting is different. The setting in which you're getting this attention shows everybody else you're on top, you're the best. And this has been proven because you have been evaluated by experts that know what they are talking about. And they knew what they were talking about 20 years ago. And they will still know 20 years ahead from now.
Correct. But you are the second generation of people who like to evaluate or who have set up in this environment. If you could redesign the entire concept of design recognition from scratch, what would you prioritize? Or would you keep everything just the same as it is right now?
I think in this case, I will go with the more or less very boring answer that I would keep everything as it is. Because this was, of course, my question when I entered Red Dot. Am I going to change much or not? But what I noticed is like the beauty that I saw in the history that we had created. And you can see this because we do a yearbook every year where every winner gets recognized.
Correct.
And the nice part is, if I go way back into the yearbooks that we did in the 90s, if I open them, I know that at the time, those were products that were brand new at the time and didn't carry much of a legacy. But some of those products have been or turn out to be nowadays, I would say, almost some legends of products. Yeah. So they have been icons and everybody knows them, and they are valued by so many people. And I think the nice way to achieve this is just by the way as we do it. Qualifying products and winners with our judges. And the point is with this, you supply something that at the time gets evaluation by the experts. And the nice thing is this will stay forever into the future. And I think it's the only way to do this, because we have like experts, we have designers evaluating designers. And I think this is the only way to do this, to assure, because design is also a highly emotional topic, that the products that have been qualified will also be good 20 years later. And I think we have always done a great job with this, that all the things that you will find in our yearbooks carry the same quality. And the nice thing will be, if I take a look back from now, so 20 years in the future, and look at the yearbook that we did this year, I will probably have the same feeling that a lot of the products that I find in this yearbook are now more or less modern classics.
Lovely, lovely. So, Jova, this takes me to our favorite part of the conversation, which is the design mindset challenge. This is inspired by your unique position of overseeing global design recognition. Are you ready for the design mindset challenge?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a hypothetical scenario, and I would love to know how you would solve for this. All right. So,
okay.
A sustainable packaging startup has created genuinely innovative biodegradable materials that could revolutionize food packaging. Their solution is technically brilliant and environmentally crucial, but it doesn't photograph as beautifully as traditional luxury package, and the packaging just looks blah, like very plain. So they're competing in the design awards against visually stunning and environmentally questionable submissions. So how would the evolve? How should rather awards evolve to recognize the kind of invisible excellence that might save the planet but doesn't win the Instagram? How would you solve for this?
Actually, with this, I will come back to something that I mentioned before. Because with this product, it's very interesting, because if you look at it, as you mentioned before, from a normal like design standpoint, you wouldn't give it an award because it lacks in the visual department.
Yeah.
But the innovation that this product brings, and the also the quality that this brings in the category, as with the responsibility, as mentioned before. And it will also bring, I think, a great functionality. This makes it still a great product. This would not qualify, I would say, for Red Dot in our case, but this is why we established our meta categories. Because in this case, because it's so innovative, I think it would still win 2 awards. The Innovative Award, because for finding a solution that has not been there before and that can really revolutionize the industry, and also to give out the Sustainability Award. Because with those 2 awards, we still recognize that this product carries a value that is connected to design, because I think design can only always evolve with new technical solutions. If there are more technical advanced solutions, you can do better designs.
Correct.
The great thing is now, if they win those awards, they get into a circle of people also at our awarding ceremony, where they can have a talk with people that won with a product that is, I would say, more visually pleasing. And if they start combining both of this, they get a product at the end that is highly seductive, highly responsible, highly usable, and is probably one of the best things that then was ever created. And I think this is the direction you should push. Recognize something that is maybe not right there yet, but carries so much value that you should still recognize it with how we do it with a meta category, or find another solution. But to leave something like this unrecognized is a solution that I would never go for.
Lovely. I love that perspective. Recognition as a tool for amplifying the design values that we want to see more of in the world. Super, super. Thank you so much. Lovely, lovely answer. So from this, we move on to the next category, which is our rapid fire round. So I hope you're ready for some grilling. I'm going to be asking you some questions. Just top of your mind, the first answer that comes. So let's start. The first question is this. Complete the sentence for me. Recognition becomes meaningful when it dash.
Oh, I need to think. Recognition becomes meaningful when it is shown to other people, I would say.
Lovely. And the biggest misconception designers have about awards?
Oh, that it's all a scam.
Okay. The most overrated aspect of design recognition today?
Just designing something that is very popular but not useful.
Mm-hmm. And the one change you'd make on how the design industry thinks about awards?
Make them understand that the recognition award gives is much more valuable than they think.
And in one word, what should recognition ultimately create?
Recognition, I would need to say two words. I would say better place or better world.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Jova, this conversation has been incredibly thought-provoking. What strikes me most is your vision of recognition as responsibility, and that awards shouldn't just celebrate what's already great, but also amplify what needs to become greater. And your key insight that really resonated with me in this entire conversation is that in a world where every designer has a platform, recognition must evolve from validating individual achievements to influencing as a collective progress. And the most meaningful awards won't just identify the best design, they'll shape the best, what it means for the future. And I really am thankful to KeyShot for enabling designers worldwide to present their ideas with award level quality. So for everyone listening, once again, you can follow Red Dot's latest recognition and insights on their platform and see Jova's perspective on design evolution across the global platforms. The key insight that I am taking today, recognition has power, and that power should be used intentionally to elevate not just beautiful design, but beneficial design. And the future belongs to awards that don't just celebrate impact, but create it. So thanks for bringing your perspective to Design Mindset, Jova. This conversation perfectly captures how recognition can evolve from reward to responsibility. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And next week, we'll be exploring some more. Remember, just don't live by default, design it. See you next week. This episode was sponsored by KeyShot, helping designers create award-worthy presentations that communicate both aesthetic excellence and meaningful impact. Try your free trial today at keyshot.com/mindset.